So for part A, IB calculations, I'm doing number 6. A child weighs 18 kilograms and is ordered 5 milligrams per kilogram per day, divided every 6 hours. And I'm going to be calculating how many milligrams per dose. So first, I'm going to calculate the total daily dose. The total daily amount of medication to be given. But it is divided every 6 hours. So first, I'm going to, I know that it's 5 milligrams of medication per kilogram. So I know that my patient weighs 18 kilograms. This is something that you would double check. You would double check that you have the correct weight and it's in kilograms because it's, the ordered dose is in kilograms. If it wasn't in kilograms, you would have to convert it to kilograms because you can't do pounds when it's ordered in kilograms. So that's something that you would double check, that it's in the proper, that you've converted it if it needs to be. And then we're going to multiply this, so by 18, because that's the patient's weight in kilograms. You wouldn't necessarily need to write these here. I'm just writing them as I'm explaining it, and then using my calculator, I know that this equals 90, and this would be in milligrams, because we're figuring out and the milligrams, because we're figuring out how many milligrams per the patient's weight in kilograms. So we're going to be giving 90 milligrams of medication per day, but because it's divided every 6 hours, and we know that 6 goes into 24 4 times, but we're going to do the math, so we're going to go 24 hours in a day divided by giving the medication every 6 hours gives us 4. Using a calculator to do even simple math, I know that 6 goes into 24 4 times, but using a calculator to ensure that I'm getting the correct amount of times that I'm giving the medication to the patient so that we're not making mistakes, because even if you know it, it's good to double check. So the medication's being given 4 times, so that means the 90 milligrams that gets given in a total 24 hours needs to be divided by 4 so that we can figure out how much we're giving at each dose. Give 4 times in those 24 hours. So using my calculator, 90 divided by 4 gives me 22.5 milligrams. This is my final answer. How many milligrams per dose? I'm giving 22.5 milligrams per dose, and I'm giving that 4 times in 24 hours. And then for part B, reconstitution. So I've added 8 milliliters to a vial. The final concentration is 250 milligrams per milliliter. And I'm calculating how many milliliters I draw up for a 625 milligram dose. So I'm going to use D over H times V. So this is dose on hand, desired dose, over dose on hand, times vehicle, so how the medication is being given. So the desired dose is 625 milligrams of the medication. That's how much medication we want to administer to the patient. What we have is 250 milligram concentration per 1 milliliter. So we're going to multiply this by 1. So 625 divided by 250 equals 2.5. I'm using my calculator, and then multiply it by 1, it is still 2.5. So because we're looking to find how many milliliters we're drawing up for this 625 milligram dose. So for 250 milligrams per milliliter, this concentration would be 625 milligrams in 2.5 milliliters that we've drawn up in the syringe. So my final answer here is 2.5 milliliters for a 620 milligram dose. And then just safety considerations here, we would be double checking our math and using a calculator, and then ensure that we're using the correct units here, because we have milliliters, and then we have milligrams per milliliters, and then we have milliliters and milligrams again. And then you would always document the dose that you gave and the time that you gave it properly. So in lab, we learn how to document these things. And then finally, the reflection. So how I would double check my math is I would ensure that I was doing the proper math and using the proper, the proper equation. So here I'm using the equation that we use when we're trying to find the proper amount of medication to give. So when we're trying to find, we know how much medication we're supposed to be giving, we need to figure out how we're going to be delivering that medication. So I would use this here. And then I think the most challenging part would just be always reread the question multiple times to ensure that I'm doing the proper weight and the proper equation for each one. Like here, for instance, I needed to figure out the total daily dose before figuring out how many milligrams are given per dose. So I think just ensuring I'm going over every step of the question